And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. I've reviewed Transformers, the collectible card game, in another review, but here I want to talk about the Wave 2, which is the combiner robots. Now, I don't have a combiner robot with me. I don't have any of them in real life, but I do like the big robots, right? And then when I was a kid, the Constructicons, I love the fact that you take 5 small robots and put them together. I like Voltron, right? It's the same kind of concept. Well, as time went by, Hasbro realized that kids like these toys, so they made several of these combiner robots. And now in Transformers, you can do the same thing. Take a bunch of regular robots in this pretty simple fighting game and turn them into one giant one. Here's how it works. So there's certainly more regular Transformers in this one, like Dirge and Bumblebee, because we need another Bumblebee, Blur, Megatron, Ruckus, etc. But what we want to concentrate on in this set are the new combiner bots. So you got to collect these combiner bots, and they're not always all going to be commons and stuff, but here, for example, of these guys, they're all uncommon. So these ones are easy to get. This is the Sentinels. So you'll notice these are much smaller. You have Prowl, and you flip them over, Autobot Hot Rod, Optimus Prime, Sunstreaker, Autobot Mirage, and Ironhide. And each of them has their alt side and their bot side. But what happens is, as the game goes by, you are going to be playing a specific card. This card, which is called Enigma, this one's for the Stunticon Enigma. So this says if you have Menasar on the battlefield, he's the giant robot, draw 2 cards. Otherwise, if you have 5 Stunticons in bot mode in the battlefield and or in your KO area, so whether they've been killed or not, you can take these guys and you can turn them into the big giant one. And I just showed you the Stunticon Enigma, but let's pretend I had shown you the other Enigma here for the Sentinels. So there's an Enigma for each of the different characters. So this guy here turns into Optimus Maximus. So we're going to turn over all the different cards. You're going to unfold them and put them together like this. And so now we have one gigantic robot here. You'll notice this guy is massively huge, and he has a 9 attack. He has 1 defense. When this battles, draw a card. He can never come apart for the rest of the game. He has 65 health, which seems ridiculous, but all the damage of all the small robots is placed on him. So he's going to take that damage and add it to himself. So if most of the robots have been damaged, by the time you put Optimus Maximus together here, he's going to be pretty beat up. But you'll notice he's also very strong, and he can have a 1 weapon, 1 utility, 1 armor like the other robots. Let me show you another one here. This is the Predacons here. So here we have the Predaking guy, who's big and nasty. So these are 5 or 6. So this one is a 5 robot, and this one has 5 weapon slots. When this is combined, you will simply draw a card, and then you can play a card. So that's pretty neat. And there's even a couple airplanes where there are just 2 of them, and you put them together to make a big giant airplane. And there's several. Oh, you know what? I'll show you one more. The Sentinels here. Or not the Sentinels, the aerial bots. These guys change. Now, sometimes some of these cards are rarer than others, but it is neat to see the cards turn over and become this one big giant bot. Now, you're going to have to buy multiple kits, although you can buy the Constructicons you can buy them and get them all together if you want. So that's Superion here. And when this guy is combined, it does 3 damage to one of the enemies. And so that's pretty much how these work. Everything else is the same. It's just that you are building a deck, and then that deck, you're going to put your normal cards that you have, but somewhere online you're going to try to put Enigma cards that match. And this is the Predacon deck that match them. And if you get them, you can change them and combine them. Otherwise, if you already have Predaking on the battlefield, you can draw. You can do whatever the action is here. So that's pretty much how these work. The game, other than that, plays pretty much exactly the same. Okay, so these are really neat. I think there's like sleeves made for even folded cards. But what's interesting that you just have to, when you put them down, I kind of bend them back a little bit. Otherwise, they won't lay flat. You'll see this one here is kind of curling up a bit. But if you fold it back gently, they do tend to sit on the table. Now, when you're going through the cards, and you'll see at the bottom, It will tell you if it's rare or not, or uncommon, etc. But it also will say wave 1 or wave 2, so that helps you make your decks a little bit more easily. And there's also like a different symbol. So the first one was a diamond, the second one's a square, if you need to separate them out. I wouldn't say that there's like much better cards in the action ones than the first one. They're all still fairly basic. It's mostly trying to collect all the pieces to these big giant monsters, or robots. There you go. Very simple. This one is a little bit harder to collect than the others. Like I said, you can buy the Constructicons. In the original collectible card game, you could just buy some packs and get some robots and whatever, play with those robots. Here you'll get half of a robot. So this is a little bit more on the, I gotta catch them all type thing, because so I just bought a bunch of packs and said, these are the robots I had. Although you can go to eBay and buy the specific one if you're missing like a leg or an arm. But not only that, you also need the Enigmas too, because the Enigmas help you turn the thing into a robot. I want to say there's 7 of these combiner robots, so you should, if you buy several packs, get one of them. But keep that in mind, and maybe it's your best bet. Again, you can just buy the Constructicons. They come in their own set. You can just buy those and play with those. But then your opponent might want to play with the big one themselves, so there's that too. I guess you could buy 2 Constructicon packs, but that would be weird. I love these from a gameplay perspective. This is so much fun. I love the game anyway, but here you have your little robots all getting fought and blown up, and you're switching them to bots one on each turn, and then boom, out comes the huge guy. And they land a couple punches, and then the game ends. They're not indestructible. You can make one big guy fight against some regular Transformers, and the regular Transformers have just as much of a fight back, but this is a really good, solid Wave 2. So the main negative here is it definitely leans hard into that collectability aspect, which the first set was not as problematic with, but it also leans really hard into that's really cool, to the point where I don't know that set 3 can offer me anything that's cooler than this. I love these, putting the robots together and having them become huge, giant things. I need to get some for my son so that he can play with them, because they're fun. Anyway, that's the second wave of Transformers. I'm Tom Vasel. See you next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved.